Hey,
fellas.
I don't got one of those, fam, but it's cool.
Fellas, real quick,
I
man.
got you.
Real quick, fellas. I got through everything on my list, man. Any pressing matters we want to talk about before we close this thing up, man? Anything going on?
I do.
Sports,
I got one.
Let's hear it.
And when I say this, DC, anybody else, don't get upset and mad when I say this. Since we got this up and running, well, I don't got anything. Shout out to DC and putting this together. I think now that we got it up and running, we need to have maybe once a month a real Zoom. We'll be locking in. We talking about some economics, some real movement, some real shit. Not every week, but once a month, we should have at least a strong hour to say, hey, let's put $1,000 over here, or let's go and be a part of this. So that's what I got, man.
And to respond to that, like that's a little bit of what we was talking about right before I jumped onto the show. Like I just came from upstairs in the meeting, and like that's some of the stuff that's actually cooking. So yeah, I know your mindset's always in the right place with shit like that, but you're 100% right, and we definitely need to be tapping in at least like once a month on some real like Jewish shit, man, because it's like, yo, they all put that bread together, and it's like we can do the same thing.
Right. I think as we close, I mean, I know Swill said his piece, but I mean, maybe all the rest of us should talk about what we would like to see from this at its peak from the platform. Like for me, I want to build on what Swill's talking about, but I also want to, obviously, in my area is education, so I want to talk about not just education itself, ways to get our kids. Right. You talk about 2,300 people with a whole lot of teenagers and a whole lot of middle school kids. We have to have a serious conversation about our community infiltrating these unions in schools, the teachers unions that are dangerous, right, and racist, right, and then infiltrating and really putting our families on to the inner workings of schools or creating our own shit. So I think the schools is more connected to the politics that happen in cities than you will ever believe. You will ever believe. If you understood it, the way I've gotten to see it and the way I'm witnessing it right now, it's crazy.
Right.
So that's what I would like to see going along, coinciding with all the rest of what you brothers are talking about.
Real quick, since we all
one second, Noah, and that's exactly the type of the feedback we're looking for, man. Is like we speak up to get shit done. We have these type of conversations. It don't gotta just be about sports and about the eye candy or the vaccine. Like we can get into it all and tap into it all because we all some of my brothers. We come from different walks of life, and it's like we can all make this happen. So it's like you're right, Corey, with the educational piece. Steve, you're right. Like we put our minds together and just get on the call and just make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
And monetizing this shit too. Another thing I hate too, right? Is all four of us, right? And I want everyone to hear this piece. This piece is big. All four of us, we are masters in what we do. If you leave your house and then come back and you get a check or a direct deposit by Friday or end of the week and all that good stuff, then you're a master of what you do. So we got to respect that and hold that to a high standard. I'm one of the best in the business what I do, period. And I'm not saying that in an egotistical way.
You know why you're saying it? Because it's true.
Exactly. But I'm here to help, but I'm also here because DC's my brother for 20 plus years. If this is somebody else, I'm sending them an invoice. You know what I mean? So this is why we have to come together and build. Noah stayed giving out free bomb Jew information. CMAC does it. I do it. That's the big piece for me, man. And we just got too many killers in this group. And one thing I've learned, right? Some of y'all might know me a little better. I'm super militant, man. I'm fighting these crackers every day, man. I fight them every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 24/7. Check my resume. When you fight them, they always want to take one of us, just wears down. So that's where I'm coming from, man. It's just us teaching our platforms and teaching what we do and giving it to somebody else, man. That's key, because when we go, who's going to take up the mantle?
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's
And if
huge,
you're listening
man.
out there, that's key for real.
Who's going to take up the mantle,
And,
man?
and if you're listening out there, right, the reason I'm always pressed with what I'm talking about is because I know I would never live to see the fruits of my labor in terms of getting our people educated, right? I'll never live to see it, and the reason I won't is because I literally gotta die. Black men gotta die for shit to happen, right? That's just really that's been our reality so far, right? Now, I'm gonna make a book recommendation, right? I'm gonna make a book recommendation. It's called Cultivating Genius, right? It's like Goldie Muhammad. Now, in Cultivating Genius, it talks about in the 1800s how hard folks worked to not let us be literate, not just exist, right? They had to let us live labor. But it also talked about how we were as people doing just this, right? If the commissioner went off to Baltimore and learned some shit and came back and didn't share it with us, right? We would kick his ass because we felt that knowledge. Yup, that's it right there. We felt that knowledge was so important to us, and people fought so hard for us to not be literate and impactful that we had to share that knowledge, right? So, and by using one thing they could never take away from Black people and oppressed and marginalized people. I'm not trying to preach. One thing they can never take away from us is the number one learning tool, which is our lived experiences. Our lived experiences allow us to interrogate any singular infrastructure put before us as a people. As we are looking at really interrogating the very things that hold us back from an educational standpoint, from an institutional standpoint, from a systemic standpoint, we got to make sure our knowledge is in this space for us to share. That way, when Noah's at his weakest point, I know I know 1/3 of what Noah's capable of doing because he shared it with me. So if he's in his absence, I'm trying to pick up where he left off. That's the mindset that we got to really embrace personally, especially if we 2,300 deep.
Right.
2,300 is the number, DC.
Yeah, 2307.
Real quick, fellas, man. Since and I'm really glad that this conversation took a more a conscious turn. While we're on that, man, I think I spoke about this with one other brother in the group, but I'm not sure if all of us have, but I know a lot of us have, and I'm willing to say most of us have gone through whatever crises and whatever hills we had to climb in order to be dads. That's definitely something that I've benefited from being in this group. I've reached out to brothers like Jeff Gray, who've been, instrumental in my process, going through court, doing the probate thing. I think that we definitely need to be more or better resources to one another, because a lot of brothers are going through it, man. And not until I had to go through it, and I'm down at 24 New Chardon Street in that courthouse going through it, that I realized how little I didn't have in terms of information, in terms of resources. Built with some brothers in the group, man, and they got me right. I know I'm forgetting somebody, please don't kill me, but the brother Jeff Gray was instrumental in my process. And I mean, I'm happy to say now my son lives with me. And even beyond that.
Shout out to Jeff.
Dope shit, fam.
Absolutely.
Fucking dope shit,
and even beyond that, me and his moms are just in a really, really good space right now in terms of co-parenting. And it really took not just the legal portion of it, but just waking up as a man and recognizing, although that's not your ship to steer anymore, but you're still the captain of that ship. And once you take responsibility for it, you're gonna impact your co-parenting dynamic a lot greater than you ever thought you could. So I know a lot of brothers as fathers in here. I know a lot of brothers in here pride ourselves as being fathers, and we're really good fathers. All the dudes that I know in this group. We definitely need to start doing a lot more work in terms of being good dads and sharing information, and that piece will be critical to everything else that we're speaking about in terms of just the conscious points.
I agree.
And that's the best thing I heard in a while, man. No,
I agree.
That's the best thing I heard in a while, man. I shouldn't feel bad when I see a black. I shouldn't feel happy when I see a black father walking his young daughter to the bus. And why am I happy? Because it's something that society presented as a rare thing. It should just be it's more normal than you think. It's a standard operating procedure. Like it's a standard. The majority of us fuck with our children. But for some reason, we are the face of poor fatherhood. We're the face of drugs. We're the face of poverty, the whole nine. We're the face of welfare, murder, and it's just really not us, right?
Yo, Corey, sorry.
Huh?
Sorry. I was going to say real quick, I never in my life understood how a man didn't take care of their child, and I never will understand it. But when you walk through that third floor, 24 New Shard, and you see men broken, and you see men, whether they got on hard hats or $1,000 suits, and you see them sitting on the floor, and you see tears crying down their eyes, and you see just men broken, their souls broken, going through this process just to do what they need to do to be a father. I understood a little more. I'm not condoning it, but brothers absolutely need more resources like the brother Jeff Gray, like a couple other brothers that I tapped in with in that group, man.
Really Jeff Gray's a good dude, man. When I first started my podcast, like I didn't know him from a hole in the wall, yo, and I shouted people out about trying to give me some help with like setting up the equipment. This was a couple years ago. He was just like, yo, I normally charge, but he was like, yo, you cool people, man. I'm gonna come through and help you. He came into the crib, pulled up, and helped me out for a couple of hours, and it was like,
you good.
That's what the group is about. That's what we built. You know, this is why I constantly scream for those subscriptions and likes, because it's like, you know, the vision is crazy, and if the city's behind us and our people's behind us, then that's just gonna do nothing but help their people, our people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how we rock, man. It's about giving back and doing what's best for the city and for the state, and just elevating our own families. You know what I'm saying? Creating jobs and shit like that. You know, so at the end of the day, I don't want to say it like this, but you know, this city's really not too supportive of each other. You know, people will be in the back, like, you know, support you from a distance, but it's like, you know, when it's time to make something happen, you know, you got to kind of get the support elsewhere, man, because it's like people don't like to see the next person doing good, doing something first, doing something better. It's weird out here, but
no, you know what, DC, I disagree.
This happens every day. So I respect your opinion, but I see this shit every day.
And I do too. I'm gonna tell you why, and this is what I've learned, right? And I say this all the time about Boston. Boston is a gift and a curse. It's a city of neighborhoods and cliques, right? And what happens is as we get older as men, we can't release that. But this is the key, right? That shit is so ingrained in them. If I see Noah shine, right? Noah becomes a mirror. And when I look in that mirror reflects back to me about what Steve Wilson's not doing. And if you're not okay as a man about sharpening your fucking iron, you know what I'm saying? You know, iron sharpens iron. That's the major problem we have in Boston, because everyone's doing something, right? But we have nothing to connect it. So as soon as I see John over there doing something, and I see Jack over there doing something, and I look in that mirror and that shit comes back, what's the first thing you hear all these motherfuckers say, Dana, is, fuck that, I'm gonna go over here and do it myself. Or I ain't fucking with them. And that's where we lose at. Instead of, we don't even need nobody, DC. You got everybody here. Right. It's 2,300. Fuck everybody else in Boston.
Right.
You know what I mean? We got everything we need here. And that's the space that makes this dope, is that we don't need to worry about the dude looking in the mirror, looking back at us to say, damn, man, Dana looks good with his beard. You know what I'm saying? And the salt and pepper coming in, he don't got no hairline, he freaked it. You know what I mean? And instead of saying, Dana, how'd you do that? Or put me on? Or C-Mac, how'd you parlay that to that, now to that? And fuck that. So if we know that, we just move past that.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Because you built it. You built it already.
No, but I'm not talking about me personally. I'm not concerned if who does what with. We're good. You feel what I'm saying? But I'm talking about as a whole, how other people view others, not if you me or us. Or
okay.
What 1,000 over here? You know, I keep it pushing no matter what. So, but just from a whole standpoint, it's like that's how the city operates. Is exactly how that shouldn't be the mindset of like, all right, fucking, I'm gonna go over here, or fucking, I'm gonna do this. You feel me? That shouldn't be the mindset. I've never ever been concerned about who does anything with S&T or for S&T. You feel me? Like, this has been built from the ground up for 10 years, so people see how genuine this is. So the support's crazy, the support's real, and then how we already react and do our thing in the group. It's like, you know, people get emotional, you can swear that out, but there's certain things we just X out so we can keep that type of intense energy, but still positive. You feel what I'm saying?
So what we need to acknowledge, man, is that Boston, more than anything, is it gives off the appearance that there's not
people don't support each other here.
That's
what it is.
But there's a situation for the black man in Boston. We have a conformity problem, meaning that we conform and we actually walk past the everyday racism, the everyday bullshit. We tend to look past it because we feel like we got enough. Without acknowledging for the black man in Boston that there's a ceiling, right? The reason why the black folks, the people like us in the South they don't really have a ceiling. You want to know why? Because they have a ton of land, right? They already priced us out of land in Boston, right? They already priced us. They give one black person an opportunity and tell us in not so many ways, this is for all of y'all, right? So that then becomes problematic. And then we start biting off at each other's toes. We start attacking each other for the same position. Instead of saying, let's create a position for all of us, right? And we have, in general, we have an equality versus equity problem. We like fighting for equality, but it's really equity. We don't want, we want the big cup to go to Noah while we're all drinking out of the red plastic cup. And instead of saying, hey man, let's just all drink from the red plastic cups. But they feel like they put us, the burden is so heavy here, and because it's not tangible, able for us to grab, there's not a white man walking across with a KKK hoodie. Because of that, we think shit is cool. But the thing is, it's the institutional racism, the systemic racism is so heavy in Massachusetts, and the burden is so heavy for black men. We tolerate and weigh what we accept as racism and what we don't. It's fucked up. It's bad. There's nothing for us here, bro. I'm going to Utah, Salt Lake City next week, and I guarantee I will find more shit to do for black people in Utah than I ever could in Boston.
Talk that talk, bro. Talk that talk. And see what you saying that. Guess what you saying that, Corey? The intellectual breakdown of what you just did and how to look at it and attack it. We don't have these conversations for brothers to do that. You know what I'm saying? Some brothers don't even know how to navigate.
Right.
They have no clue how to navigate. They don't know that, you know, my job was given to make sure 35 people fight among each other and we break them up. They didn't understand how the race with Kim Janey and Andrea Campbell, how that was already preset by the powers that be to make sure the black rope gets. You see what I'm saying? So these are breakdowns of information and things we have to teach folks how it works. You don't have to go to Harvard or MIT and none of that. Like you said, the experience of everybody on this call, 20 plus years experience. I can tell people about Boston Public Schools, how it works. Corey can, how the city of Boston works, and numerous departments between me, Corey, and Dana. We can have that conversation. I give you an example, right? Check this out. This is crazy when I say this, and I'm not saying this by ego. I'm not saying this to big myself up. This is a true fact. When my department, my job got a new chief, right? And everybody was saying defund the police, especially as first and all that, right? Every time she went somewhere, she had to hear somebody else's name. Every time. And that was going to each department. You know why? Because we all know the folks that really do the what? Work. And what happened? She took that information and ran with it to say we're doing that work when we're not. That was all me. And when that shit came across Dana's table, Dana was like, fuck it. Get rid of all of them. We don't need them because none of them like him. When you say that shit, that's him. And guess what? I'm saying the same thing about his program and him. You see what I'm saying? And then what do they do, Corey? What you just said. They know who the people are. They go back and give them after fight amongst each other, and you break us up. Now Dana's like, fuck Steve, and Steve says, fuck Dana. Right? And then they give one of us a job for $80,000, and you take a picture with a white guy that's a gatekeeper, and you put it on social media, and I won. You know what I'm saying? And that breakdown right there is crazy.
You're 100. You could not be more right. It's just like if we think about standardized testing, right? In our community, right? If we think about standardized testing, no one knows why why people are against standardized testing, right? I'll tell you why you should be against standardized testing, especially for Black children, because the issue isn't the testing. The issue is the standards.
That's
right? The standards. Where are the standards? There are none. There are no standards, right? So we have to impact the standards in a way where the eminent information is deemed irrelevant. How are you doing that? Well, guess what? I don't need you to send my kid to college. I don't need you. I don't need you to put my kid in a trade. I don't need to fear the cops because I'm gonna put my kid and make sure my kid becomes a cop, not because I want to be a cop, because I want them to eat up that $75 an hour they get and that $125 they get for overtime. That's how we merge the economics with our problems. The number one issue in the country is social economic issues that we have. There's not one district that is rich and has a lot of land property value that is underperforming academically. You can't name one. And what is the variable between success and failure is poverty. That's it. That's it. And we have to acknowledge the fact that poverty is a traumatic experience. But are we going to lay down and accept what people are giving us, or are we going to scratch, scrape, and crawl for more? And that's what we should be arguing about and fighting for as much as we're talking sports. We use sports to bring us together. I'm great with that. I love that. But we better be talking about it and doing something about our problems behind the scenes.
Agreed.
And I don't want to keep folks here all night. So I'm about to dip set. Sorry, Dana.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I got a call that I got to dip too, man. But I think this is powerful.
That's cool. Noah about to close it out.
Yeah. Close it out, Noah. Thank you, Professor Griffsey.
Yo, I appreciate y'all, man. Nah, for real, y'all. It's what you need, man. Because for me now, I'm gonna get up tomorrow, and I'm on attack mode in my district.
Yeah, recharge. It's a recharge when you're with Lions.
Yo, for real. And honestly, that is a real thing. That is a real thing. Yo, if you're in black education, you go look up this joint called 8 Black Hands on a podcast. These brothers just be going nuts, right? Not one dude from Oakland. They're not giving a fuck out here when it comes to our kids. So but it's intellectualism, and we have to start accepting intellectualism as opposed to rejecting it, because every man is an intellectual. Every person, every single one of us, because of our lived experiences, we're literally a practicing expert at something. We're an expert at something, right? So we practice. Those 4 brothers right there. We're practicing experts at something, and that's what we are, right? And if we can't acknowledge who we are, instead of rejecting intelligence and rejecting growth and knowledge, fucking gain that shit and fucking destroy people. That's it. I'm done. Sorry.
And that's what we do.
No, absolutely no sorry needed, man. No sorry.
Yeah, the ones that really rock like that, that's what we do.
Right.
It's a phone call or text, so let's meet privately. Let's get to it.
Right.
Send us home, Noah.
This meeting took this session took a hell of a turn, man, and I'm so glad it did. Brothers absolutely needed to hear where we took this conversation, and it really is just the essence of S&T. You know, we're going to start with sports. We all going to come in the building for sports, but while we're under that tent, while we're under that roof, it's going to really expound on terms of things that we actually need to be speaking about, because we are all of us, all the brothers I know in this group, all the brothers that I don't know in this group, we are so much bigger than whatever it is that, whatever box that we're trying to be confined into. That was amazing, brothers. I appreciate y'all sharing that information. The books that Corey shared, I put it up on the screen so brothers can either get a picture or jot it down, as well as the podcast. Fellas, man, I appreciate you guys coming out. Steve, Corey, you already know. Kamish, I appreciate the opportunity, man. We're very, very fortunate, very blessed for you to choose us to rock out on this podcast, man. It's S&T, man, the intersection of sports, culture. We're going to get with y'all next week. Make sure y'all tap into all the social media, S&T Sports. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, S&T Sports. Beautiful session, fellas. Can't wait to do it again, man. S&T.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Appreciate it. Freedom is a road seldom traveled by the multitude, gentlemen.
Justice and liberation.
All
Yes, sir.
day.
Yes, sir.
S&T for life.
Support the movement.
You know what I'm saying?
Peace.